Oh, this is the Goldsmith. Welcome into the Cafe Nightly Show. It happens to be the 27th of January, 2025. That makes it a Monday. And we did have a couple things going on in Upland. First and foremost, and if we watch Twitter, we'll see a few things. Acquire.fi posted an announcement. Upland reposted. So we'll get into that, look a little bit at what is acquire.fi. What does the announcement mean? Nothing as of right now, but we'll get into what it could be. Sparklet Warz results. So we do have winners. We do have individuals who placed highly on their respective leaderboards. Sparklet Warz suggestions opened by the team. We'll get into some suggestions, some takeaways, some thoughts, and some thoughts of my own, spurred on by some thoughts of others. So people have put some really good thoughts out there. I agree with some of them. I would love to see some of them come into place, and credit where credit's due. Some of these suggestions, some of the best suggestions I've seen have been from people other than myself. So more power to the people who continue to put ideas out there. And maybe there will be the one that kind of makes it that much more fun coming from the community. Upland is asking for that. Upland is looking for that. So I'm looking for it as well. And of course, if we had a celebration in the game of Upland, or we had something successful, we had a first in the game, we've always had some type of sale, a sale of some type of commemorative block explorer. We've done these terraformer heads in the past. This has been something that's been important. These transformer heads. They very, very expensive. There's very limited number of them. You spend $1,000, you get 1,000,000 upics. You also get this 1 of 5 block explorer. It's a big deal. And Upland's doing that a little bit differently. So we'll get into that as well. And just because it was brought to my attention, again, keeping your eyes on Twitter, because that's where Upland likes to break some news. Upland dropping some sneaky hint. What is this? Which we've seen before. We saw before when Upland was getting ready to bring into the game of Upland totems and announce them and tell us what they were. They had these weeks and weeks of kind of teasers and small teaser, and Upland's playing this teaser game again. So we'll have an opportunity to take a little speculation and a little peek at that as well. Getting into everything, or before we do anyways, all views and opinions expressed by myself, they're mine and mine alone. Shouldn't be taken as game strategy, shouldn't be taken as financial advice. They don't represent the game of the team of Upland. All views and opinions of those who are contributors, more power to them. They are their opinions. They shouldn't be taken as game strategy or financial advice. They don't represent myself, the Goldsmith, or the Cafe Nightly Show. They don't represent the game or the team of Upland. And let's get into it. And actually, let's start last things first. Last things first is let's take a look at a couple of Upland's Twitter posts and kind of tear it a little bit into what they overall could mean, do mean, might mean, may not mean. Again, you can have a little bit of speculation, and Upland overall, that is what Upland is asking people to do when they drop these little, what does this mean? What is this? Ooh la la. They're looking for people to look at those posts and kind of leap to conclusions. Obviously, that's what the whole idea of saying what's this is, to get people to look at this post and to make their own assumptions from it and continue to go on from there. Again, very key here that there's speculation, and when Upland puts out these posts getting people to think and speculate and talk about something, the whole point is that people are all over the board, and Upland's going to do a reveal eventually, and that reveal will have concrete details. But the teaser is never finite. The teaser is broad. People can jump to conclusions, but don't take any of it as guarantees until Upland makes the official announcement that they're building up towards. So let's get into these a couple of Twitter announcements. Again, two different things. And again, not announcements, teasers on two separate things. First thing that we do see here is, if we take a look, there's a couple posts here. Upland's dropped a couple things. Here's a little X here. There's a little X here. Oh, what could it be? Look at this, X.com Upland status. So Upland's reposting its own status, and we see this X here. Do you see this X here? Brought to my attention that this is out here by Elijah Judah. Brought to my attention that this looks a whole lot. If we look over at the Twitter X, it looks a whole lot like the Twitter X. We look over here, we see Squid Games, and we see Miles Head, and we see the X is the point. The X is the point. Squid Games. The point is that it is a teaser, that it is something new is coming, that there is an announcement Upland's going to make They haven't made it yet. They will be making it in the future. They would love us to jump to some conclusions because that's excitement. People thinking, is it this? Is it that? Some speculation, some conversation. It kind of brings some energy towards whatever this announcement is. So when Upwind says we're about to make the announcement, people perk up and they want to go and read or watch or see that announcement. And that's what we're building towards. So very much so. We don't know where it is. Has something to do with an X. Is it a treasure hunt? Is it Twitter? Is it, oh no, it's not Squid Games. But is it Squid Games? No, we've got to see. We've got to see. And again, it is a hint to get people to jump to conclusions, to get excited about something that we'll eventually find out what it is. Upwind saying when GameFi season, and kind of tied into this idea of GameFi season, acquire.fi makes an announcement. We're thrilled to announce our collaboration with Upwind Me. Upwind is a premier GameFi platform and one of the leading Web3 communities, boasting nearly 50,000 daily active users. I will say that number does bounce around a lot, but I'm sure there's some basis for GameFi to say 50,000 daily active users. This partnership will provide them with access to our liquid token fund. Show more. Ooh, la. Let's read it more. And KOL support and our premier network of ecosystem partners to aid them in treasury growth, expanding their network of partnerships and clients and growing their community as they continue to build towards their long-term milestones. Upwind is unveiling some truly game-changing tech in the very near future. Be sure to follow them on X and be amongst the early adopters. So if you take a look here, acquire.fi X Upwind. Well, what does X mean? Well, if we take a look at X in many things in the GameFi space, in the crypto space, in the NFT space, X means it's a collaboration, right? It's a collaboration between Upland and acquire.fi. Upland's talking about these collaborations between Upland and these other partners, these other collaborators. And maybe, just maybe, that's what the X is about. It's a crossover. It's a collaboration. Some big collaborations coming. Upwind's going to announce it. Upwind has talked about first quarter 2025. When they were talking about the last quarter of 2024, they're talking about 2025, that first quarter, having some announcements, having some partnerships getting pushed through, and Upwind ultimately doing some things and setting some things in place to be prepared for new partnerships announced. So I think that's what Upwind is going to do. Upwind's going to bring in new communities. The Upwind talked about with Sparklet, that Sparklet was going to be setting the stage to bring in and adopt other crypto communities. We could definitely see that be something that happens quickly. And with acquire.fi, what this is Upwind's working with an organization that does a few things in the I was going to say finance, but ultimately in the crypto space in terms of liquidity and ecosystem management. So we're really talking about pools or building pools, or Upwind potentially working with maybe, just maybe, some type of other crypto exchange, or some other type of Upwind, or some other type of partnership where there would be direct interchange or some type of other earning mechanism, some type of other pass-through mechanism where people are going to be in both ecosystems at the same time. So that is something to watch out for here. Again, acquire.fi is essentially builds through subscription pools. Upwind collaborating with them means that Upwind's using, in some way, shape, or form, their pooling. They also do mergers and acquisitions. I don't know if Upwind's hinting that they're going to combine with someone, they're going to buy another ecosystem, they're going to get bought by another ecosystem. It's a broad announcement. And if acquire.fi is working with Upwind, does it mean that they're setting Upwind up to, either merge with another ecosystem, or be acquired by another ecosystem, or acquire another ecosystem? That's a big question. And this has been a speculation people have had for years, is that if Upwind does this or that, the other thing, if they combine with this other crypto environment, or if they acquire this other NFT platform, what's that going to look like? Or vice versa. If Upland gets acquired or picked up by this other organization, what does that look like for Upland? So this kind of ties into that idea of collaboration, with this idea that we're talking about acquire.fi Upland, that a collaboration. Is this the big collaboration Upland's talking about? Is Upland talking about collaborating with acquire.fi so that they can build and grow with other collaborations? That's a great question. And we don't know that. Again, when we see a broad announcement like we're thrilled to have a collaboration with this company, and this is a company that does a number of different things. How are they working together? What's the collaboration? How are they building? We've seen many, many collaborations, that are exciting up front. We have an announcement that we're going to be working with Voxel. We have an announcement we're going to be working with Sandbox. There's some ways those partnerships work, but they're not always as big as we expect them to be, or as big as they may seem up front. Some of them take years to develop and take place over time. We've seen some in the past that are promising from the beginning, but they don't ever expand to as big as the original assumption is, the original suggestion is that they might be. So don't leap to conclusions. I know I'm not going to. The reality is that we will know more at some point. Maybe there'll be a roadmap that says we're going to start working with this company and over this period, and then we're going to do this. And then after so many months, we're going to do this. We won't know that until we get that information. And again, we've seen some of these collaborations, some of these partnerships materialize more quickly than others. We've seen some of these partnerships and some of these collaborations materialize in a larger way than others. So we have to find out as we go along the way. But it is news. It is news. It was posted by a third-party company. Upland reposted it on their own Twitter so that people who are following Twitter could see it. People who are following acquire.fi could see it. And kind of that announcement in and of itself kind of could be enough to get some people excited. So X means collaboration. X means a lot of other things. But ultimately, one of Upland's promises for Q1 2025 was collaborations. And this could be one of them. And there could be many more to come. Let's take a look at the announcements that actually move and change the game of Upland. Sparklet warz special commemoration sale. Well, that doesn't move and change the game of Upland that much, but I do want to go over some things on this, comments and observations, in addition to the actual language, the actual information for the sale. Let's go over that. But we have in the past seen that we've had these major milestones of the game of Upland. They get commemorated by these terraformer in the past, but these heads, and we have these heads and we have these bodies sometimes, and there's 5 of this block explorer, there's 5 of this block explorer. We've had rings for Genesis season where there's very limited block explorers. They have very high prices in the terms of the heads. You're talking about $1,000 USD. You get 1 million UPX. You also get the head. Well, I don't think we're getting that, because that's not what we saw here. We see in this language, similar language to when we've had those heads in the past, and we see something very different in that sale. And we can speculate as to why, but we can also observe what is when we look at this. And here we go. Here's the announcement. As the curtain falls on the first ever Sparklet warz, we want to take a moment to express our gratitude to everyone who participated in this thrilling new event. To commemorate this milestone, again, commemorating the milestone, that's previously what these heads did. We have had these wizards in the past that commemorate these big things as well. Wizards have been limited in number, and they've been purchasable. They've been earnable even previous to that. But these aren't wizards. These are something a little different. We're thrilled to announce the Sparklet warz Block Explorer Commemoration Sale. Purchasing through this special bundle grants players 20,000 UPX and one of 3 exclusive Sparklet warz Block Explorers, uniquely designed to celebrate the excitement of the inaugural event. Registration does start today, Monday, January 27th, 9 a.m. PT, which means it is ongoing now. The sale starts on Tuesday the 28th of January, 9 a.m. PT. Get your registration in between 9 a.m. today, which, again, we're way past, and 9 a.m. PT tomorrow. Actually, 8 a.m. PT will be the time to get your registration in by, with the sale starting at 9 a.m. PT. Check out the Block Explorers here. So let's check out those Block Explorers. Here's that first part of that sale. Again, details. Purchasing the special bundle grants players 20,000 UPX, one of 3 exclusive block explorers. Again, Sparklet Warz block explorers, uniquely designed to celebrate the excitement of the inaugural event. There'll be a total of 210 of these available, $20 a piece. Again, $210, $20, a pool of $4,000, $4,400 worth of cost. And we've seen these heads raise more than that. So it's not really a matter of raising more money. It's a matter of, it looks like, distributing, having more of these available overall. I don't know if that's the point. I don't know if, the heads were not excited anymore. I don't know if Upland's still going to do the heads. Who knows? But we do have the sale ongoing now. The sale starts on Tuesday, the 28th, 9 a.m. PT. That is tomorrow. 210 of these available at $200 a piece. That means there's going to be 70 Purge Pirates, 70 of the Cyborgs, and 70 of the Crypto Knights. And this is randomized. You buy the bundle, you get what you get, which is kind of interesting because ultimately this contest, the burning of the passes or the earning of the passes in a random bundle, and then people being able to buy and sell, and Upland encouraging people to choose which faction to be on. Those were ultimately about people's choice. And then Upland goes back to a bundle, and yes, you can purchase what you want in the secondary and realign with the faction you chose to be a part of. It's great. But, it would have been kind of interesting, cap things off for the people who chose to be one faction or another to choose which of these block explorers they want to earn. But again, this is a bundle. You buy the bundle, you get what you get. You can trade, swap with somebody else who got what you wanted, or you can sell and buy if you choose to do so. That sale again is tomorrow, 9 a.m. PT. Thank you once again for making this first Sparklet Wars a success. We're already gearing up for the next round of strategic battles. Are you ready? Let's keep the momentum going. Get your block explorer and prepare for the next war. Easy, simple, small sale. Obviously, Upland can't miss an opportunity to commemorate a new thing in Upland. I don't blame them. I think some people like to do that. Do I think that a block explorer is an investment where you buy it now because it's going to be worth more later? I don't necessarily think that is a fair assessment based on the way the block explorer market has gone. I don't think there's any reason to think it's impossible to happen. I think this is more about commemorating the action of being part of an event. Keep in mind, there's less of these block explorers overall than there were participants in Spark Wars. So maybe there's a little bit of a demand because everybody who was on the cyber cyborgs, they want to commemorate their win, or maybe the Crypto Knights, they loved working together and they want to have their block explorer. And maybe the Purge Pirates, who they had their own Discord and they were having fun and they were making the whole thing about getting really into the role play of it all and getting excited and sharing gifts. Maybe they want to commemorate the time, the event, what was going on there. That's an opportunity to do so. Again, you can't guarantee what you're going to get, but you can always get what you want on secondary after the sale if you're willing to pay the price that someone else is looking to sell them for. Easy enough. Looking forward to, again, this idea of the backside of this. What did we accomplish with Crypto Wars? What can we do? Not Crypto Wars. Wow. What did we accomplish with Sparklet Wars? What can we do better with Sparklet Wars? And how can we have more fun next time around? So that is kind of the topic here in Upland as of right now. Upland is very much talking about, we'll come back to it, is very much talking about this feedback of what can we do better? What can we do differently? What did you enjoy the most? Feedback is key. We'll get into that feedback. But before we get there, we have to celebrate and acknowledge that Crypto Sparklet Wars is over. Keep saying Crypto Wars. Again, this idea is Sparklet becoming its own crypto, becoming its own thing. Then this kind of incentivization to do different things with Sparklet. And again, this is the first real build competition, real strong build competition that says, use your Sparklet, acquire your Sparklet, participate in this game, in this competition. And let's take a look. Let's take a look at the winners. Winners in two ways. The winners are the winning faction, which is, as we already said, it is the Cyborgs. We'll talk a little bit about the scores. And again, controversies aside, name calling aside, Congratulations to the Cyborgs. Again, this is one of those things where the reality of the way this competition played out is people get to choose what team they were on. They burnt the pass they wanted to burn to be on whatever team they wanted to be on. They could buy on the secondary, and we saw some passes sell for a much higher price than other passes. But we had people compete to essentially get into the faction they wanted to get into. People burnt a pass to get in. When they bought the passes, when they bought the bundle, they didn't know what they were going to get. They got what they got. In many cases, they sold what they had and bought something different, or they swapped what they had and got something different, or they weren't able to or chose not to participate in that sale, just went straight to the secondary and bought what they wanted in the first place. So this is kind of the dynamics of the way this contest ran. People chose to be on the team they wanted to choose to be on. Ultimately, there was a bunch of people who before the sale happened, before they saw what pass they had out of a bundle, they said, let's all work together. Let's build our team. And we saw this in multiple teams. Again, there was multiple groups of people who said, we want to work together. We want to work together. We want to work together. And then they got the right passes so they could do so. And we saw that in the Cyborgs. We saw that in the Knights. We even saw that in the Pirates, where some people chose to be part of that group because they want to be with their friends and they wanted to compete the way they wanted to compete. Ultimately, Upland making the factions and making this little story about each one that had nothing to do with the way that the individual groups competed, but people self-selecting to be with their friends, buying the passes, burning the passes, to be with the group, the people they chose to be with. That was ultimately what this inaugural, this beta version of Sparklet Wars was about. This was about people choosing and building their strategies, but choosing who they were working with. And that made a big difference as to the outcomes. You could say one way or the other. You could say we won because of this, or you didn't win because of this. But the reality is the right people got together to win, and that was a self-selection. And is that what Sparklet Wars should be about long-term? Let's get into the suggestions and talk more about that. But let's take a look at those final scores. The Cypher Cyborgs, 73,490.1 overall points. The Crypto Knights, 42,583.11 points. That's the team I was on, the faction I was working with. And then finally, the Purge Pirates, 40,274.09. That was very close to the Crypto Knights. So strong competition there. Obviously, we say that the Cyborgs ran away with it. It wasn't 2-1. It wasn't 80% of the overall points. It wasn't really as lopsided as people like to make it feel, but it was lopsided. It was a little bit lopsided. And from the beginning, it looked like the people who were going to earn the most points were the people who were earning the most points in the beginning. And that's ultimately what happened. There was some strategy in many people having the right properties or having structures already built. There was a good strategy in having properties in the right areas where you couldn't use offensive weapons to decrease somebody else's score because it was set in the right and set in the right space and set away from things. The way Tokyo happens to be set up is there's a lot of small properties and some larger properties. Some neighborhoods have larger properties than others. So if you had properties in the right neighborhoods, you're in a much better position to have an apartment. So you can put an apartment ornament on. You're in much better position to have a large enough property so you can make a superstructure. So there was some strategy for the right people with the right properties to be on the same team. There was some strategy for people who were willing to spend Sparklet to build structures, to help competitively build structures so that they could have ornaments put up and so that they could build superstructures. There was a decent amount of strategy that was there, what people were considering before they were choosing their teams. But ultimately, what was done during that week period was what determined who won and who earned the most points. So that's more power to you there. Anyone who contributed to their team, congratulations. And congratulations to the top 25 on each team who are getting their own reward in this form of a Block Explorer for participation. Top 3, obviously, better prizes even so. But let's take a look. Sparklet Wars individual scores have been calculated for the top 25 factions on each team. There was a note, there was an update here. This was at 5:47 p.m. Eastern time. That is 3:47 p.m. PT. And then they came back a couple hours later and said, oops, sorry, apologies. We did some calculations. Calculations weren't quite right. We have updated those. So the spreadsheet that's out has been updated and corrected. That was corrected as of, I thought I had the time in front of me, but that was corrected as of 7:27 p.m. my time. That is 4:27 p.m. West Coast time. If you're keeping track, that was about 2 hours. About 2 hours the information was incorrect. It got updated. If you had looked inside that 2-hour window, you may have the wrong information. Take a look now. So let's take a look. So if we look at the Cypher Cyborgs, look at the groups here, right? Top 3 on the Cypher Cyborgs. Nerds Logic, know that name, know it well, seen it many times over. Upland Terra, there you go, another name we know quite well. And Drifter, another name we know quite well. Congratulations, top 3 on the team, because you get a badge, you get a Block Explorer as well. And then the top 25 on the team overall, everybody from position 1 to position 25, they each get a Block Explorer. Crypto Knights, SRO. We have JR Wheels and Santa Claus, big participants. They were active in the channel. Again, we had Discord channels pop up for each of these groups. We had in-game channels in the game of Upwind that Upwind put it together as communication channels for the teams. Those were put on by Upwind. These separate Discord groups were put on by the groups who put these together themselves, and they were working together. And SA, JR Wheels, and Santa Claus were very active in those groups and coordinating and working with other players on their team, on their faction to succeed and win in the end. So it makes sense that they have some of the top scores. It makes sense that they get a little bit of time in the sun. They don't get a badge. They don't get a badge because they didn't win, but they do get top 3 and they get a little shout out for that. And then, of course, first place to 25th place, all get a Block Explorer. Congratulations to the Knights again, second place, and had a lot of fun along the way. That was what's important. That's what the game is supposed to be about. Purge Pirate, same thing. Third place, but not by much. Pretty right there on the heels of the Crypto Knights. Your Prince, Phoenix, Finny, and BK in MT. BKINMT. I don't know what that stands for, but I do know that you are the third highest points. You can see these points too. You can see that we have 4,354. We see 3,525. We see 3,374. So these are points that they contributed to the overall total. You see over here, top 3 on the Knights. Pretty similar parity here, where you see the top 3 getting over 2,000 points. In the case of the Pirates, you see that it's a steep drop off after 4th place here. In the case of the Knights, you see the same thing where the top 3 are pretty high, and then everybody else just starts to peter out a little bit. But everybody tried, everyone contributed. The more you contributed, the more you helped your team succeed one way or the other. We have some top tier here, teams here, top tier contributors, people putting a lot of effort and energy into this contest. And of course, these people, everybody on every team, congratulations, because you get to have fun along the way, and the idea of working together and communicating and collaborating and having strategy together, and in some cases having strategy sessions, and having that Discord group and sending announcements out and saying stake on this property. Those were all things that were community building, and that's what these contests overall should do when they are applied correctly. So if that was the goal of this first beta, it was successful. Now, the second goal is to make it fun enough and engaging enough that people want to continue to participate. The idea of, do I think that me putting my participation in changes the outcome? That is an important one too. Why would I want to compete if again, I don't have to win, but if I don't feel like I'm contributing to what's happening overall? So giving the opportunity for more people to contribute. And what Upland chose to do here, and it's very key, is Spud War was not about spending USD. You didn't have to spend USD to participate in Spud Wars. There wasn't a gate that said, you're willing to spend this and you're not willing to spend this. You're willing to spend this so you can play, and you're not willing to spend this, so you can't play. That wasn't what Spud Wars was. Spud Wars was, again, there was resources that were allocated based on people's participation prior in the game, and they would allocate those resources and work together and compete. And it was overall open game. This, with the gating, with the you have to buy an asset, it does change the dimension a little bit. Again, putting in USD, not UPX, that does gate. That does have people self-select out who aren't going to put USD. And in this case, to be competitive, you might have been spending $30, $50, $80, $100 or more, and then still not put yourself anywhere near the top of these lists. People spending hundreds of dollars to acquire assets, and you can only buy so much in the primary, maybe one, maybe two bundles if you get lucky. But what you do end up seeing is you see prices inflate on the secondary market, and that's one of the things that really drives up the cost of participation if you want to be top 3 on your team. And the prizes for top 3 don't stack up. Don't stack up with the costs of participating. It ultimately is this idea of, I want to compete and I want to be part of the team and I want to be towards the top, and I'm willing to open my pocketbook to do it. And that's what you end up seeing with this, with the mentality, with the motivation to do well in these contests, is spending to win, even though the reward does not meet the cost of participating. So if you enjoy it, more power to you. I spent some money, USD, to participate. I didn't get crazy. I didn't get lucky. I had some structures built that I didn't get structure ornaments for. The structure ornaments largely that I needed, were largely used by the team already, so it's hard to acquire them. But it was nice. It was nice to be part of the team and ask questions and get answers, and people are swapping and trading and selling amongst the group assets that they had acquired that don't match their needs and don't match their property types and don't match the structure that they currently have built. So they're kind of moving those between people. And you saw that in all 3 factions. So that was kind of a fun piece of the pie and part of it. But there were things that were less successful. And to me, the gating is one thing, and who can participate and who can't participate. You got to spend USD to participate. Maybe that's exclusionary to a certain portion of people who want to participate. Upland has to make money where they make money. It's a for-profit game, and people ultimately wouldn't be playing the game of Upland at all if the team didn't have room and opportunity to make money. So that is an important part of keeping Upland, or keeping Upland existing in the first place. So it's a hard puzzle. But to be a large participatory event, maybe there's other ways to participate. Maybe there's ways to participate in UPX and in USD. Upland still can make money on the USD side, but Upland can, let people play for free or essentially use their UPX that they've earned in other ways in the game of Upland to participate, sell properties into UPX, use the UPX to purchase, or you're getting dividends over time. Someone like me who's sitting on their dividends, who only spends so much, who goes to a city opening and only can spend so much of their saved UPX, and then it's a month and a half before the next city opening, and there's a pile of UPX that just sit there because it's not being spent on city openings. There's not enough properties in the right areas to justify spending that whole saved up amount. But we can talk about a couple of things as well. So this is something that Upland invites you, anybody who is out and playing, who was involved in the Sparklet Wars, or maybe you weren't, maybe you just saw from the sidelines, to go and make contributions, to make feedback, to post some thoughts. And this is how you do it. So this is uplandfeedback.note.io. Upland puts up this new topic. The new topic is, we want to hear from you. How was your experience with Sparklet Wars? What did you love? What could be improved? And what ideas do you have for future events? Your feedback helps us make every event even better. Drop your thoughts below. And we have a number of responses and people participating already. We could do this as a flash contest and incentivize people and the winners win. But ultimately, as a Nolt concept, this is one that can exist for a while and people can participate in and put thoughts in and respond to, and the team can continue to look at. So this is open now. The recommendation is you do get in and make your thoughts known so that you can make the whole process better for everybody. We'll take a look at a couple, and then I will look at a couple of my own thoughts and simple thoughts that aren't my own. They started with somebody else, but they're great thoughts to have. This is what someone said. I had no properties in Tokyo, but lent assets I purchased to team members to use. I would like to see non-whales have an opportunity to earn more from smaller efforts. This was from Coach Oldham. I'll go Coach Oldham. I'm going to go with, so the idea of whales, there was this concept of spark whales and how much someone's account was worth and how big their account was. Part of the idea of whales in this contest in a city like Tokyo that has a limited number of properties and a limited number of properties that are of size for structures. And maybe you were that guy who had built 15 structures in Tokyo when other people hadn't. Well, now you are a land whale. Now you're somebody who has more assets than other people. Maybe you specialize the majority of your assets, the majority of your property holdings in Tokyo. And now you stand out as somebody who is uniquely positioned to be successful in this contest. And people are lending you and selling you assets or giving you assets so you can help contribute to the overall score. And maybe it's a temporary swap, or maybe you have assets that you're getting rid of to somebody else permanently. So they get what they want and you get what you want, and you help your team overall. So it is definitely something that is a consideration. Are there other ways to earn? Can people earn points by doing blank, blank, blank? Is staking rebalanced? Is staking a larger portion of the overall points? Is there places and things to stake on that are going to increase points above and beyond? Can you put Sparklet and stake your Sparklet on a cannon and make the cannon more effective? Can you stake Sparklet on a chest and make the chest more effective? Those type of things where people could leverage their spark potentially and earn more points and be more directly impactful in the game and how it's working. It is interesting. It is an interesting concept. And again, if I do take the concept to the nth degree, it is how do you leverage your portfolio of assets if you don't have a specific type of asset to be more supportive of your team and to be a greater earning for yourself for your efforts in earning points. And Coach told them there was a way to contribute any Sparklet you had, whether it was a large amount or a smaller amount. It could have been put into, as a team, staking onto a superstructure. You could have been helping somebody on your team overall build a structure so they could use a structure ornament in time. Even if you have a small amount of Sparklet, your Sparklet could help that effort happen. But to be fair, maybe the other things could happen as well to make people feel like they're more contributive or they're contributing more directly to the success of their team. Goodwill painting. Since you cannot purchase assets from other factions in the store, make it a penalty for holding assets from another faction where the points are negative. Ooh, this will ensure fair gameplay. So there was some suggestion, and this was a little bit of reality. There was some suggestion that people were intentionally going and buying people's assets off the secondary and leveraging their accounts and leveraging USD and money to buy assets to prevent the other teams from acquiring them. There was a little bit of this. A lot of the assets did obviously end up in the hands of the right faction people. But the way they don't end up in the right hands of the right faction people, the right people who are playing, is people choose to be on a faction. They buy the bundles for the assets, and then they choose, again, you own an asset in the game of Upland, you have a choice to what to do with it. They chose to sell it on the secondary, and when they sold it on the secondary, somebody who was not of the faction bought it on the secondary, because you can buy it on the secondary, any faction, you can't buy it on the primary. So by doing that, there was a strategy being played. The strategy of person A, the person buying the bundle, was to make a quick flip profit, to put it in the secondary and selling it. And the strategy of the person buying it was to prevent somebody on that faction of using it. And ultimately, Is that something that the game of Upland should more directly regulate? I don't know. Maybe that's part of the game. Does Upland want war to be dirty? I think they kind of said they did. WW Dog, war is tough business, he says. My assets are killing me. So war is a tough business. Yeah, war is a tough business. And Upland talked about this. Upland talked about, are you going to do this? Are you going to do this? They talked about scheming. They talked about not necessarily treachery, but they did talk about ways of sabotaging other people. They talked about a strategy, a specific false building of superstructures to sabotage other teams. So it was kind of this idea that right up front, White and Lake says for sure, this idea of right up front, building this suggestion, building this idea that this was supposed to be a little bit cutthroat, that the team of Upland was saying, yeah, go ahead and sabotage the other team. Go ahead and, get people to waste their Sparklet on something that's not going to actually contribute to their points. Try to trick people. That's what they suggested. So when people say, oh my gosh, this war wasn't supposed to be like this, and people are hurting people's feelings, I think that was the point. I mean, nobody really wants anyone to truly be hurt, but Upland did. They said, play dirty, play dirty. This is a game. And you have opportunities to choose how to play, and it's war. You do war stuff. I don't know. I think it was less fun for some people because the suggestion was play dirty. And they said, why can't we just have fun and be friends and build my group? And why do people have to, buy assets off the secondary market just to prevent my team from having them? But, ultimately, the person who bought it on the primary market, they chose to buy and burn a pass. By buying and burning a pass, they locked themselves into a faction. By being locked in a faction, they had the opportunity to buy assets. By buying assets from the asset bundle, once they own their asset, they could either use it for a structure, they could trade it with their team, with their faction, they could lend it out in their faction, or they could turn around and sell it in the secondary to try to get a profit, because that is still a big core of the game of Upland. And again, does Upland regulate to stop people from doing that? I don't know. I don't know if it's the right thing. I don't know if people would have more fun if that was the case. I don't know if the person who playing the game of Upland primarily has a flip and tries to use the flip is going to be feeling that they lost their place in the game. I don't know. But what I do know is there are a few sentiments that seem to be relatively universal or seem to be very successful in accomplishing things. And I'll go over a couple. The first one that I did hear, and the first person I heard it from, I'm sure other people had the idea, but the first person I heard it from was from More Cheese. And this idea is to go ahead and have people buy a pass, or burn a pass, or get a randomized pass in some way, shape, or form, and have that randomized pass be the team you're on, right? So why did we do randomization in the game of Upland? When we have these bundles, we randomization because you buy the randomization, and that tells you this is what you get. And then Upland says, hey, go and sell them in the secondary, mark it up, trade it, sell it, swap it. You didn't get what you want. Well, you're going to have to pay a little premium to buy it what you want, and you want to sell yours at a profit? Go ahead, do your best, sell it on the profit. But the way to really build these teams with some level of parity, or at the very least with an opportunity for the potential of parity, is not to say, hey, we suggest that you go try to acquire the pass that you want to have and burn that pass. We suggest that you decide who you want to be on a team with and then all burn the same pass. The way you create parity, or the chance of getting parity, again, randomization is randomization. It doesn't mean a perfect distribution. It means a lack of contrived variables or contrived circumstances to force things in one way or the other. But even without contrived circumstances, again, randomization can definitely force the teams in a way that is unexpected or seems to be bunched. But if we have that randomization, you sell 500 passes or 1,000 passes or 10,000 passes, and then you get the pass you get, and then you can say, hey, do you want to participate? Yeah, you burn your pass. Out of 10,000 people, 6,000 people burn their pass. Well, guess what? If we have 6,000 burn passes, we got 3 factions. That means we have 2,000 people in each faction. And of the people who burnt their passes, you just go, You go in there, you go in there, you go in there, and it's random. And now that they're on their teams, they can work together. They can decide how they strategize together. You get lucky and you get somebody like Shackleton on your team, and she's going to go ahead and try to organize things and build spreadsheets and work on how do we coordinate our efforts together to be as efficient and as successful as possible. You get somebody on your team like Scooby, and he's going to look at ways to work together as a team, and more Cheese working with Scooby help build this server so that people on the nights could get together and make suggestions. And Cheese built out a number of different channels, and the idea of the different channels were to allow people to do the most concentrated effort they possibly could. You wanted to do swaps, there's a place to go do swaps. You wanted to coordinate what places, what SSs, what superstructures to stake Spark on. There's a way to coordinate that. So that was a strong effort. You get somebody like Scoopy or Cheese on your team, and they help build that Discord group out to help do that. And again, the Pirates, the Purge Pirates, if you look at the way they acted together, they were having fun. They were, they build their communication groups. They had their upland put together a group for them. They also had Discord activity with each other. If you look at all of that, you see that, that group potentially could have grown out of randomization too. You have the right person, the right team. They built that all out. And with randomization, you're just not distributing the leaders. You're not saying these leaders are necessarily on opposite teams. Maybe you get surprised and you get a lot of leaders on the same team, but maybe because this team doesn't have a natural leader, maybe a new leader rises up. And we don't know how the assets would get divided, but the way that we do the best we absolutely can is you take the number of people who are executives and you divide them evenly among the three. And you take the number of people who are chief executives and you divide them evenly among the three. You do this with all of the statuses all the way down to Uplander. And by doing that, by trickling down like this and taking 100 and divided that down to 33, and that third person, you can't cut a person in three, so 2 33s and a 34 for executives, for example, and building that out. By doing that, you give yourself a chance of having people have similar assets on each team and helping build that out. You can't, again, with true randomization, you can't guarantee that you get 3 of the top players distributed on each of the 3 teams, but you get a lot closer to it than people selecting to be together because they're friends and they have similar strategies, and maybe some friends who have a strong amount of asset totals, they all get together. Maybe that's something that we see build up there. But if we have a randomization, then we kind of see the opportunity for these teams to build themselves together just based on who's there and how they work together. And maybe that'd be more fun for some people. Again, there were people on certain teams who looked around and said, ooh, I don't like how these people selected to be together. Again, playing together because you want to play with friends is more power to you, but the randomization might make it a lot more fun for other people, especially when you get to a larger scale. On a larger scale, it could be even worse, right? We could have the 1,000 top players all on one team of 1,000, and then one team, one faction is mostly new players because they're the ones who weren't willing to spend a $10 premium to buy a certain pass on the secondary. Maybe they just were able to buy in the primary and weren't willing to go and buy. Well, willing to, willing to trade or swap or go buy one on the secondary. Or maybe they were a newer player and they didn't know how to trade and swap. Maybe they just burnt their pass and they were on the team they were on. And that's what we kind of see filter out. The people who are new end up on one team, and the people who are having experience end up on another. And I would prefer that not to happen. So the buy, sell, trade, swap passes after the sale, after the randomized bundle. If we could end that much to more Cheese's idea, that would create, again, the potential. No guarantee. The potential for more parity among the teams. So looking forward to that as a potential. Some other suggestions. Again, we already kind of hinted at this idea of the USD side. I wasn't willing to spend a lot of USD to buy these bundles. I've seen that. I've seen people making that comment. What options are there to participate? Well, maybe there's more options to participate without spending money. Maybe there's options from the USD and the UPX side. Maybe you do say we have exclusives in the USD, but maybe there are availabilities in the UPX side, and you can still participate, be part of the game, play along without having to spend 10 or 15 or 20 or $30 to participate. You buy a pass, you get on a team. That's all fine and well. But if you have to trade and swap and buy in the secondary to get on the team you want to have, and that's an additional cost, I just want to see more people be able to participate and enjoy it and have fun. And Upland can make some of their money, so sell some things in USD. And the teams can have fun along the way. More people in them, and again, having a more varied and a larger opportunity for more people. And what other opportunities are out there? What other ideas are there? Well, that is for you to come up with. The submissions are open now. Sparklet Warz official feedback. You can see the link to this that is going to be in Upland's Discord. You're going to see this link in Upland's in-game chat. Definitely jump in there, make a suggestion. I do know that when Upland puts these recommendations out, they take them seriously because they want people to be able to participate more directly. They want people to be happy with the product. So they're going to take some of the best ideas that are out there, incorporate them in the next Sparklet Warz, and hopefully that's going to make next Sparklet Warz that much more fun for that many more people. And I'm going to make this big one. The big one I've got to make is a suggestion that I've made for many other contests, and it is we have to make the leaderboards work. It makes the game more fun for people if they know real time what's going on. If we lose the results for an entire day and then Upland says we're going to correct it and come back and fix and get the data, it's not lost. That's fine. Maybe the data wasn't lost, but by not having a day's worth of leaderboards, the activity that people did, the strategy people put in, the excitement people had during that day, during that 24-hour period, that's lost too. Even though the data is not lost, even though it's found, the hours without that data up, the things that are tied to that, the competition and the excitement and people just overall feeling engaged with the contest, that is lost at that moment. And sometimes it's not easy to bring that back once that's lost. So love to see a little more learning lessons from previous leaderboard contests, kind of building this robust leaderboard, go to and make it happen, be more direct, be ready and be more successful. And if we can do all those things, I think it's going to be more fun for people participating in future games and future Sparklet Wars. And again, this is one more, not a suggestion, not a change, just a comment. And the comment is being able to see the rings, being able to see the zones and the overlaps, and this is the effective area of this attack item or this defense item or the structure. This is where the structure circle is, and in order to impact the structure, you have to impact inside of the circle. That was great. I'd love to see that more directly incorporated in more competitions in the game of Upland, more ways to leverage that. Maybe at some point in the game, you can have a splash effect from one structure into others, and then you can visualize that. You can say, look at this circle. Everything that's within this circle of City Hall has this buff, has this bonus. If somebody chooses to build a Venetian garden, they build a really pretty structure on their property. Maybe that enhances all the properties around it, but only for a certain distance. If that was something that existed, that level of gamification in the game of Upland, that would be great. I mean, even if the enhancement, even if the bonus for being in that range wasn't really monetary, maybe it was something. Maybe there's a glimmer, there's a sparkle, there's a shine, there's something that is the case for your property for being in proximity of this other property. Maybe it's a landmark. That would be something that'd be fun. And I'd love to see Upland kind of implement that in the future. That would be one way of really taking gamification and bringing it into the game of Upland. That again, start out very minimal. And some of these things that come along and get integrated, they really have powerful opportunities. And, seeing one thing succeed, I'd love to see that success get leveraged into something else. And, seeing that splash effect or that area effect around properties, if there was a way to leverage that in day to day, if there's a way to leverage that in other competitions, I'd love to see that be the case. If Upland has already demonstrated this is something that they're doing or able to do with another portion of the game, the Sparklet Wars. So for tonight, I can say loudly and resoundingly, Sparklet Wars beta was loved by some people, and it was hated by some people, and there was a lot of people who were in the middle. But I think a lot of people had fun, and that's the key thing. Is ultimately this is to have fun. Ultimately, I can tell you that it's a juice worth the squeeze. I mean, are you getting more of a reward out than you put in? In many cases, monetarily, no. Many cases, the effort people put in, they're not getting a reward to compensate them for their time. It was about being a part of the game as it was happening. And people want to win. People can win without a prize. And if you're going to be happy to win without a prize, more power to you. The prize overall was the winning team. The Cyborgs, they get a share on their team. They get a distributive share of 200,000 Sparklet, and that's your reward. And if that's going to be your reward, then congratulations. The people who participate more on the Cyborgs are going to get a larger share of the Sparklet, and everybody who participates in some way, shape, or form gets a portion of that on the Cyborg. So more power to you. Congratulations. I don't think that juice is worth the squeeze. Again, that's not the real incentive. The incentive is the game along the way. But the prize is nice to get on the backside. So for tonight, yes, I'm back, X1. Good to see you. The Sparklet Wars thing, some days there was no announcements, but it's nice to be able to recap it and say, we are there. We're at the end. And the takeaway, if there is one to put on the end and the asterisk, is we're going to have this again. We're going to have this again next season. The whole point of Sparklet Wars is to be in between the seasons. The whole point of a beta of Sparklet Wars was to see what works and what doesn't, to look at the mechanics and make them better. And I think we have that opportunity. So looking forward to the space in between the next season, in between Frost season and Blossom season. Again, Frost season does start on the 1st of February. So looking forward to that getting started. But Frost season started the 1st of February, running to the 15th of March. Between the 15th of March and into the 1st, or headed that way, headed towards the 1st of April. That in-between period is when we're probably going to see, more than likely, again, fingers crossed, Upland hasn't guaranteed it, but more than likely, that's when we're going to see the second iteration, the next Sparklet Wars, and hopefully a larger number of people can participate. Hopefully things that are more open and people are more excited about. And of course, taking all the things that were successful, all the things that people really enjoyed, because there were things that people really enjoyed about Sparklet Wars, and bringing those forward too. So thank you so much for being here Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. PT. We are here in the Upland Cafe, in Discord. We are on YouTube. We're on Twitter. Looking forward to continuing to do this Monday through Friday. I did take a couple days off. I do travel for shows this time of year around the country, and when I'm halfway across the world, it's hard. It's hard sometimes to get in and do a show, but looking forward to continuing things on. And as we do get into our new season, this coming Saturday, let's go with that. This coming Saturday, we do send and start into Frost season. Look forward for the announcements of the team about the start of Frost season, gamified earnings for Frost season, the upcoming ornament challenge for Frost season. We'll get all of that information in the next several days. So keep your eyes out. That's what we're looking for. For tonight, thank you so much for being here. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow if you're in the Upland Discord Cafe. As always, feel free to unmute your mics. The floor is yours.